After many years of doing my makeup on an aging skin, I have learned some tricks that have really leveled up my makeup, and I thought I would share them with you. Some of these are not going to apply for everybody, but I'm confident you'll be able to take a couple of these tips and level up your own makeup game. There's a lot of them, so I'm going to try to go as fast as I possibly can. Before you start your makeup, put on some kind of lip balm or a lip mask. So when you're done doing your makeup, you will then be applying some lip products and it will look so much better because your lips will be hydrated. I might sound like a broken record, but the very best thing you can do for your makeup is to have the best skin that you can have. So get a very good skincare routine going. Do it consistently, and your makeup's going to look its best because it's on your best skin. In the morning, do as little skincare as you can. Vitamin C serum, some serum underneath my eye for moisture, an all-over moisturizer, then SPF if I'm going to be outside. If you've got too much skincare, your foundation and your makeup is going to just mix in with all of that instead of just being on your skin, and it won't look its best. Wait at least 10 minutes if it's possible. I know sometimes we don't have that time, but if you've got a few minutes to let it sit on your face for a few minutes, it will make a huge difference. It means that your skincare has had time to soak in, and then when you go in with your makeup, it's not going to mix in with that. Okay, when it's time to actually put your makeup on, consider your lighting. Lighting that is white light is the closest to daylight, and daylight is going to be the most natural. So if you can actually do your makeup in a window, that's awesome. You don't want direct sunlight. Obviously, sunlight or daylight is finicky and it's not always there. So having a good light that has white light on it is best. Most makeup lights will have different shades, so you can actually get a yellow light. Yellow light is great for if you're going to have an evening event, but most of the time, we put makeup on at the beginning of the day and wear it all day. So doing it with a white light will give you the best possible. As we age, we get kind of a blue or purpley tint in the corners of our eyes, and it can make us look more tired and older than what we really are. So correcting that with the opposite, which would be a pink or peach color, is what works really well for me. So I use a peach colored one, and I'm gonna link all products below and all tools I use. I'm not gonna talk about the actual products. I tend to like a brush that is really dense, not a fluffy brush, for when I put my corrector on. Stipple it until I get what I want. But it kind of negates the purple a little bit more. And I don't go in with a concealer at this point. I put my foundation on first. When choosing your foundation, going with a more light to medium or full medium coverage was about as much as I could do. When I got into the full coverage foundation, it tended to look cakey and it would gather in my lines and wrinkles way more than a light to medium. So I will look for a foundation that is light to medium or medium that is buildable. Obviously, you want the coverage that you need. If you are someone who absolutely needs a full coverage foundation, then obviously use that. What I'm saying is use the lightest coverage that your face can handle. Okay, so I'm sure that you've watched YouTubers who put their foundation, they go across their face and it's dripping, and then they grab their foundation brush and they start going on their sponge. What I think is better is to take some kind of palette. This is actually a candle holder, or you can use the back of your hand, perfectly fine. And then I work off of this instead of working on my face and feeling like I have to hurry up. What I have found works for me is to use a foundation brush first. If I use a brush, I feel like I get the most coverage from that foundation, even if it's a lighter coverage foundation. I've learned that instead of taking my finger in here and dabbing it and then dabbing it around my face, the best thing to do is to take a tiny bit on the tip like that, move over to the side and work that foundation into the brush, and then it distributes it around the brush, and I get a much better coverage instead of it all going in one spot. We all have areas on our face that need more coverage. That's where you put your brush first. So I'm going to stipple first, and then I just go out kind of in circles and I work half of my face. And then when most of that foundation is worked in, I'll go up to my forehead. This is where I have the most movement because I've got the lines. I don't do Botox. So I have lines, and that's where it's going to gather the most. So I don't want a lot of product up there. I'm just going to want a little coverage. And honestly, I don't have a lot of discolorization on my forehead. You might be different. You might need more. I know you're different. I still have a lot left. I'm going to keep this. Don't get rid of it. I'll explain in a minute why. After I've done the brush, normally I will take a dampened sponge and I will just make sure everything is blended even more. This to me is one of those steps that really makes a difference in how my foundation looks in real life. And that's what you're going for. You're not going for how it looks good on camera or Instagram. It needs to look good in real life. I will take the tip of this, squeeze it so I get a nice tip and go under my eyes and make sure everything is blended. If I'm in a hurry, I may skip this step. And I'm not going to powder, I'm not going to do anything else, and I'll explain that in a minute. Okay, now is when I would do concealer if I'm doing concealer. And I will tell you, I don't always do concealer. If you're someone who truly needs to have concealer, be careful on how light you go. It used to be a real trend where it would go really light and you do these triangle shapes and blend it out, and it would just be pretty much white under here, and then you'd blend it in. That looked great on 20-year-old skin. I personally think, for me especially, it does not look good on my 50-plus-year-old skin. I'm 58 if you're wondering. Almost 59. I like a concealer that is just like a shade lighter than my actual skin. The one I have here, which is from Fiera, I get it on Amazon, love this, I think is a tad bit light because I am tanned. It's the end of summer. Okay, now that I have my foundation and my concealer on, I'm not going to powder, and here's the reason. While this is sitting on my face is moving and I'm going to have it gathering. That's the reason I didn't put a lot up here of my foundation. My face is moving, my eyes are doing things, and any makeup that I have on my face is now going to gather into those wrinkles. I want them to go ahead and do it, because after it's done it, then I will go in and actually work that out. I'll either take a StansOut Sponge, which is what it will do is soak up any extra things. I was pretty light with what I did today, but sometimes we get heavy-handed and we need to soak things up. And this will make sure things are soaked up and I don't have to worry about it doing all that gathering thing. But I have to let it sit for a few minutes to let it do its gathering. I'm still not going to powder at this point because I have a few more things to do. Okay, brows. Here's what I will say about brows. And I might step on some toes here. If you are a product of the 1990s, so most of the people watching me are products of 1990s, when we tweezed our brows to an inch of their life, literally. If your eyebrows still look like thin little lines going across your head, you may want to consider filling them in a bit more. It really does age you. So one of the very best things that I ever did was learn how to do my eyebrows in a way that was best for my face. I'm going to give you some tips that I learned throughout learning how to do my eyebrows. Some of them aren't going to apply to you because you don't have the same issues as I do. So take it with a grain of salt. Okay, I use two different brow pencils. I will use the e.l.f. one to shape my brows and to fill in large spots. Then I switch to this one to fill in the details and make sure all the little spaces are filled in. Your spoolie is your friend. That's this thing at the end. Use your spoolie to smooth out and make sure there's no harsh lines. This is my bigger one, the e.l.f. one. This is going to shape. I'm basically drawing a line where I want it to end. Then I draw a line connecting and then I fill in. Okay, it's not perfect, but you can see the difference between the two. I'm not done. Let me do the other side and I'll come back. Once I've done my basic fill in, you get your best view of your brows if you tilt your head back and look at yourself more in an odd way. This brow always is lower than this brow. Extend, it's lighter here a bit. They're looking relatively like each other. This is when I switch to my brow detailer. So I'm gonna fill it in right there just a little bit, even out my tail. If your brows have a big scoop, like it goes real thin and goes up and over. The one on this side is done in the way I would normally do it. I want you to notice how this goes out and then it gradually goes up to meet the tail. There's no big scoop. In the 90s, we didn't do it this way. What we did is we did this, where it was this big scoop up. Instead of a nice gradual to the tip, we did this scoop. I couldn't make it exactly how I see a lot of people do it because I have eyebrow hair there, so I don't want to tweeze it and get rid of it. So don't want to do that. It would be more pronounced. It would be even like up in here, and like all of this hair would be gone. See how it's just very pronounced? It's so much more natural to have it just kind of meet the tail. Let's say I want to fix this. So what I would do is I would bring my brow hair or my brow pencil and I would connect it over more to this. And see how that's a bit more natural? Now, I didn't even come out far here. I didn't do it as far as I would normally do. But see how it's got a little bit more of a natural? It's big now because I did it too big. So they don't really match. You understand what I'm trying to say. Connect them and it will be a much better looking brow. Okay, there's one very important thing I forgot to say, and I forgot to do it, but I want to make sure that you hear it because it really is a game changer. Before you actually go in with your brow products, take a clean wet washcloth, put it on the tip of your finger and rub it across your brows. You don't want to have your skincare on there. You don't want to have your foundation on there. You need it to be a clean surface for your brow products to adhere to well. Your products will go on easier and they will last longer. Once you have your brows pretty much done, again, go back and look. Like, look at them as if somebody's looking at you. It's normal brow, like in real life. They're gonna look more right now because you have no other makeup on, like as far as mascara and blush and things like that. So they're gonna look more bold. That's okay. What you're looking for is evenness. They should look like they are sisters. They don't have to be twins, but they shouldn't look like they're distant cousins either. Now, we're not completely done with our brows at this point. There are 2 more things we're gonna do to them, but I need to do other things first. One of the ways I leveled up my makeup was to learn that I needed to color in my eyelids. As you can see, there's some red blotchiness. You can see a vein. So what I do is an all over color. I use the one from Perricone D. You could use a concealer, but I personally think a concealer is too heavy. It's almost the same color as my eyes, but look at the difference between the 2 eyes. It makes a big difference. Okay, now I'm going to use some powder for the first time. Now my skin has had plenty of time to gather and do its thing. So I'm going to take actually a dampened sponge and just make sure I'm only going where I think it would gather. So a little bit under my eyes, and it helps dampen it because it's dried down a bit too, around my nose and around my lips. My recommendation is using a powder that's translucent. If you struggle with finding one that would match your skin, translucent will be the best case scenario. I use a brush for around my eyes first. Take off the extra, set that eyeshadow that I just put on there. Take my finger and open up, I call them gills because they're lines going up and down, and press it underneath my eye. When I learned how to do this and not do such heavy powder, game changer, my eyes don't look dry throughout the day because of it. I'm not using very much powder. Get yourself a puff and go right on your forehead lines. I don't need to go every place else because it's not gonna gather there. I'll go around my nose and around my lips and my marionette lines. I'm not doing anything here because we're going to be putting more product here. Take your brush that you just did your eyes, dab it in, dab it in, dab it in, get extra off. You don't want a lot of product. You're going to actually set down the product that you just put on your brows. You will not see it on there, but it will make a difference to set that down. It will last longer. This has been a game changer for me. Then the last thing I'll do for my brows is use a gel. I like one that will hold my brows crispy. Some people hate the crispy feel. I'm not one of them. Because I have very unruly brows, I need that extra support. It's like putting hairspray on your brows. And I used to use a hairspray back in the day. Just run it through lightly. That's my best advice. And to make sure this looks natural, use a disposable spoolie that I actually wash and reuse many, many times. Use the short side and brush it through, and it'll take off any clumps or extra gel. And if yours tend to go down like mine do, get a little fan and put it on there to dry fast. Okay, let's deal with our lashes. If you have hooded eyes like I do, I learned that the best thing to do is to put your mirror underneath you like this so you can just see it, look down, and do your lashes. Otherwise, you tend to get mascara on your lids. If you get a little heavy-handed, or if your mascara clumps, like this one's a little bit clumpy, take that same spoolie, use the bigger side, and just run it through to clean that mascara up a bit. Bottom lashes. Here's the bottom line. No pun intended. Your lashes are naturally longer and bigger on the top than the bottom. So when you go to put mascara on the bottom, keep that in mind. It's totally fine to put mascara on the bottom, but only put a little bit. You basically want them to just be darkened a little bit, probably not longer. So what I'll do is I'll just run it very lightly across the bottom, and that's it. So I kind of want them to show up, but not actually be bigger. And if they look a little bit too long, I'll just take my finger and kind of like pinch it, not so I'm pinching it so it takes them out, but pinching the mascara while it's still wet. Okay, eyeliner. I do like to tight line. So what this does is it darkens my waterline. If I'll lift up my lid, this right here is your waterline. And you don't need to fill it in completely. I need a close-up mirror. I cannot do this without it. Lift up your lid and basically just go right along the edge of where your lashes meet your skin. It's subtle, and it just makes my eyes pop a little bit more without closing them in. Okay, contour. Contour means a gray tone. Bronzer is a warm tone. Contour is a shadow. Bronzer is showing where the sun would naturally hit. This is a gray tone. This is a warm tone. This is a contour. This is a bronzer. Oh, I'm getting it all over me. The sun doesn't naturally hit under our chins. The sun is hitting our cheeks, our nose, our forehead. What I want to do is create a shadow. That's a gray tone. Everyone's different what they contour. I only contour one spot. You can see a shadow right there under my chin, and then it gets lighter. And what that does is it highlights my double chin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my contour and I'm going to blend it into that area to create more shadow. Basically extending my shadow. Now make sure it's blended down. You don't want it to be a line. But now as you can see, my shadow looks like it more goes there. Now if I go normal, all you're going to see is the shadow itself. Love a contour, because let's face it, I'd like to hide this. With bronzer, I like a cream, bounce it in, and basically hit where the sun would shine. So I stipple it, go up to my temples, on my nose, do a little more. And don't worry, this is going to get blended more. Trust the process. And then basically buff it in. Hold my hair and I'm going to work it into my forehead. If you've got a really large forehead, you might want to add this step because it kind of makes your forehead a little smaller looking. You don't want a line going across your face. You just want it to be a little darkened up. When doing blush, don't go, look at my cheeks. It's up here. Now I'm going to let go. Look, now it's down here. So you don't want to do that. You're not going to walk around going throughout your day. You look like a crazy person. This is a cream blush. I'm going to stipple it right here and work my way up. I want your eye to be up here. And this isn't going to go up and down, even with a smile. This is all staying right there. This was a game changer when I figured this out. Take this, and that's how I blend it more. And I don't rub because it might take it off. You want to stipple. And it kind of all meshes together. Okay, what if you put on way too much? Remember I told you, you kept this. Take your brush that you used for your foundation, dip it into this area here where there's not a lot of foundation. You can always add more. Use that to go and fix whatever problem you had. Basically, this is your eraser. So that's why you want to keep it. Now we can do powder. We're going to take it and I'm going to just press it. But you can see how much more soft that looks. Don't forget under your chin. Otherwise, all this stuff will come off on you. Okay, lips. Remember at the beginning of this, I put on a lip balm. I'm going to go ahead and take that off now. I will do my lips one of two ways. I will either take a lip liner, do that, and then add a lip oil, and those are the only two. Or, actually one of three ways. I will take a lip liner and put lipstick on, or I will just do the lipstick. Two tricks. First, when you're doing your lip liner, do not go around your corner here. Your lips naturally go into the corner. Look at mine when I go just normal. You don't see the corners of my lips. You don't see pink. You just see my skin. You don't want to add lip liner going around that. That doesn't look natural. Go right on the edge of your lip and go in where it naturally goes in. So you're doing the bottom. It's tempting to go right here. Go more like there. When you close your mouth, you don't see the pink. I also fill it in completely. I have very small lips on the top. When I smile, my top lip pretty much disappears. So I want it to look bigger. So I have a pretty distinct Cupid's bow. That's what that is right there. So I'm going to take my lip liner and actually fill that part in a little bit, not straight across. That doesn't look normal. So it still goes a Cupid's bow, but it's just a little bit more filled in. When I fill it in completely, it means when it's wearing off and things, I'm not going to get that line, that 1990s line that just doesn't look very nice anymore. It's going to wear off much more natural. Choose a lip liner that is very close to your own lips. So therefore, when it wears off, you're not going to look blotchy. It's going to look very natural. After I filled in my lip liner, put just a lip oil. This is definitely a preference. I tend to not like very shiny lips. I tend to think that especially as we grow older, these very wet, juicy lips, I think look a bit crazy on somebody who's older. I know I'm probably stepping on toes and y'all are mad at me. I actually don't like it on younger people either. So maybe it's just I don't like the look, totally don't like the look. I like it to be a little bit, so a lip oil is perfect to me. If I use a lipstick, like this one, I will use a lipstick, not a matte one, because that just makes me look dry and I don't like it. I will use this one or one like it that has a bit of a sheen to it, and then I won't use a lip oil. So I would use this over the lip liner and call it good. Okay, remember in the beginning I told you to do your makeup in natural light if possible or daylight. Right now I am standing in front of my window right here. It is an extremely gray day, like so gray. There's no sun to be seen, but it still is white light. And I can look at myself and go, okay, what looks natural, what maybe doesn't look natural. I can look at it and go, okay, maybe my blush is a little strong and I want to look at it in natural light, and I can see it better because it's in natural light, and I just need to blend out a little bit more. That's why when people get in the car, sometimes they'll look at themselves and go, oh, like that is not what I was expecting. I thought my makeup looked good. Why does it look crazy? It's because you weren't looking in the best lighting. I am probably forgetting some amazing tip, and I'm going to be kicking myself as soon as I get done filming this, but hopefully these were helpful to you. I'm going to go ahead and link my AM and I'll link my PM skincare routines, because I know that that is one of the best things that you can do for your makeup, is make your skin look its best. I will see you in one of these or another one. God bless.